Nigeria's coronavirus infections exceed 65,000 as NCDC reports 157 new cases on Monday. House of Representatives, Nigeria Judicial Council condemn low budgetary allocation for the judiciary. In international news, drug makers Moderna and Pfizer now reports more than 90% effectiveness of their respective coronavirus vaccines. And in sports, Mayweather returns to the ring in preparation for February 2021 Tokyo bout.
This is in.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Benue State Ministry of Health has confirmed that death toll from yellow fever disease raging in Ogbadibo local government area has climbed to 20. Permanent Secretary Andrew Amiyi raised an alarm on Tuesday over a strange illness that earlier killed 17 persons. Speaking in a telephone interview on Saturday, state epidemiologist Dr. Sam Ngishi also said 26 persons are presently down with the sickness. Ngishi said samples have been collected and sent to the National Reference Laboratory to establish the kind of organism that is causing the problem. He further said the state is planning to initiate a yellow fever campaign. The rate of COVID-19 spread in Nigeria continues to increase significantly as the latest statistics provided by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control shows 65,305 confirmed cases. And the CDC also announced 157 new COVID-19 infections on Monday night. Lagos, Oyo, Kaduna, Bayelsa, Edo, Ekiti, Ondo, Osun, and Plateau states all shared the new cases of infections. So far, 1,163 COVID-19 deaths have been recorded, while 61,162 patients have been discharged. House of Representatives Committee on Judiciary and the National Judicial Council have called on the federal government to look into the inadequate funding of the Nigeria judiciary. But parties say the low budget allocation of 110 billion naira hampers efficient dispensation of justice in the country. They expressed this opinion at the Budget Defense session of the NJC, chaired by Honorable Luke Onofiek. Onofiek called for an upward review of the annual statutory allocation. It says it is worrisome that the 2021 budget estimate is inadequate in view of current realities. Onofiek stressed that there is need for the adequate funding of the judiciary in order for it to independently carry out its constitutional mandate of check and balances, settlement of disputes, and protection of fundamental rights of citizens. Nigeria's beauty industry has experienced impressive growth in recent years, largely buoyed by patronage from the young population, which places a premium on its looks. Despite the struggling economy, wigs and weaves have become the biggest money makers in Nigeria. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam has the story.
Precious Chimobi has a knack for spinning synthetic fiber into wigs. The master weaver, as he's fondly called, trades in anything hair. His store is a hub for assorted human hair, locally hand-braided wigs, extensions, shampoos, relaxers, and much more. Chimobi's customers spend a minimum $140 to buy a human hair wig and around $50 to purchase monthly products. Most of the products here are imported.
We order from different countries. It depends, as I said. We can order from Germany, from China, or from Spain, anywhere of your choice that is okay for you, that is affordable. The weave-ons you import is more better, is more 100% sure human hair that can last, that you can use and share with someone else. The weave-ons that they order for is imported weave-ons that they need. They say they need imported weave-ons. That's why I choose to order it, because they don't have it here.
The hair I buy for here, they are really good. Their wigs are really good. The PC coil, the bone straights, the hair, they are really good. I don't have any bad experience. They are really good. They are actually good. They usually grow my front hair.
Nigeria has one of the biggest hair and beauty industries in Africa, alongside Cameroon and South Africa. Euromonitor International estimates $1.1 billion worth of shampoos, relaxers and hair lotions were sold in the three countries in 2013 alone. Meanwhile, sales of wigs, extensions and wigs are estimated at $6 billion a year, with importers competing to get a slice of the multi-billion-dollar industry.
It is easier for importers of hair, artificial hair, to import them than for them to establish factories, because of the hindrances that we have in this country. Of course, you know, everybody knows the hindrance of power, electricity, and of course the hindrance of insecurity. And so it's easier for somebody to just travel abroad and get these things in and start selling in few days and get return. The next question is whether they have the raw material locally to do this. If the raw materials are not there and they still have to import the raw materials, then it's almost as good as importing completely without the complications of producing locally.
Encouraging local manufacturing could help Nigeria cash in on the growing hair market. This would not only create much needed jobs for the unemployed population of over 21 million, but also boost the economy. Industry players say with the right infrastructure, Nigeria can develop the sector, earn big from homegrown products and export them too.
Coming up, African stories. Trade tensions continue to brew in Ghana after closure of Nigeria retail shops. And later, international news. Drug makers Moderna and Pfizer now report more than 90% effectiveness of their respective coronavirus vaccines.
You are watching ANN.
Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Nigerian traders in Ghana are still crying foul after authorities locked up their shops some months ago and insisted they pay $1 million each to satisfy a local law that had not been enforced for years. As correspondent Nabil Ahmed Rafai reports, the trade tensions have continued to simmer and may affect the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that is expected to kick off in January.
Yakubu Mohammed sells phone accessories in Accra's business hub. He is one of many local traders affected by the closure of Nigerian-owned shops here.
We were buying things at a cheaper price from the Nigerian traders, but since their shops were locked up, we're forced to buy the same things at a much higher price from Ghanaian traders. Our customers are complaining and it's affecting our business.
In August, the government locked up shops of foreigners, especially those of Nigerians, while enforcing a law which bars foreigners from engaging in retail trade. The law requires foreigners to invest $1 million in their retail business before operating in Ghana, but it has not been enforced for many years. Local traders have accused Nigerians of destroying the local market and demanded the government enforce the law.
Local businesses are dying because foreigners are taking over the local market, which I think in 1997 or in 94, 97, they sat down and realized that this is what would happen one day. That is why the GIPC law 586 was enacted.
Many Nigerian traders say the law is unfair.
These things are getting out of hand. Not when see men here, you see them with families. All of them, they have children here. And you are rendering them useless and their family at the same time. And most of them married to Ghanaians. You are telling them to go and bring $1 million before their shops will be open. Without that $1 million, you can't open their shops, even when they have paid their taxes and other revenue.
The Nigerian community in Ghana has staged protests calling on their government to help resolve the trade dispute. There have been diplomatic discussions between the two nations leading to the setting up of a Nigeria-Ghana Business Council. It is aimed at improving trade and investment ties.
No clear date has been given for the opening of the Nigerian shops. Traders fear their goods risk getting damaged as they remain locked up.
While the trade tension between Nigeria and Ghana lingers, experts say it could affect the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement set to begin in January.
The authority of Ghana are determined to keep that shop locked, maybe till after election. That's what we can deduce about it, because I don't think there is anything that is so hard in opening that shop, knowing fully well the type of relationship between these two countries.
These Nigerian business owners have lost hope of getting the trade dispute unlocked. Some have called on the Nigerian government to evacuate them from Ghana.
Kenyan Doctors Union has issued a 21-day strike notice to the government in protest against what it calls neglect that has led to the COVID-19 deaths of some of its members. Respondent Robert Nagila reports.
Dr. Hudson Inyangala, a public health specialist, Dr. Imara Ashraf, a plastic surgeon.
One by one, the names of 10 specialist doctors who recently died from COVID-19 were read out at a media briefing called by the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. 25 doctors have died from the virus since March, with over 2,000 infected due to what the union is calling negligent working conditions and a lack of support from the government. The Doctors Union has now issued a 21-day strike notice to the government if their work conditions and welfare issues are not addressed.
This strike notice will expire on the 6th of December 2020.
The union is demanding the government supply personal protective equipment to all health facilities, recruit 2,000 additional doctors, create dedicated health facilities for health workers, and meet treatment costs for COVID-19.
The strike notice couldn't have come at a worse time for Kenya. The country is in the middle of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, recording the highest rate of infections and deaths since the virus was first detected in the country.
The union blames the political class for putting politics before health. The government wants to hold a referendum on constitutional change in June next year, and a number of COVID-19 cases have been traced back to political rallies aimed at gaining support for the referendum.
Their political activities are increasing the numbers of COVID-19 cases who go to overstretched health facilities and equally increasing the burden of the doctors in the facilities.
The government says it's banned all political rallies, but town hall style meetings can still take place under strict COVID-19 protocols. Currently, Kenya has 9,096 doctors serving a population of about 48 million people. But if the strike does go on, its impact on the fight against COVID-19 could have deep ramifications on the country's health sector for years to come.
When we return, international news.
Drug makers Moderna and Pfizer now report more than 90% effectiveness of their respective coronavirus vaccines. And later, sport. Mayweather returns to the ring in preparation for February 2021 Tokyo bout.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is still self-isolating after coming in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. A spokesman says the British Prime Minister is well and is not showing any symptoms. Meanwhile, the new COVID-19 lockdown in the UK is causing retailers to improvise to survive, especially now that Christmas is around the corner. Correspondent Catherine Drew reports.
Turkey, the traditional Christmas Day feast in the UK. These birds were brought to this Berkshire farm months before a socially distant Christmas was on the cards. Here, the traditional Christmas fair and other promotional events have been cancelled, with customers ordering online and picking up their Christmas turkeys via a drive-by system. And some people are preparing for a smaller Christmas gathering.
We have sold more smaller birds at this point in time our sales period, and we've actually sold out some of our smallest birds already. But we are seeing the vast majority of customers are still buying the same orders they ordered last year. For example, they're calling up saying, what did I have last year? I'll just have the same again. I'll make it work. I understand when you ordered these turkeys back in February, you had no idea about the situation, and then it's kind of very much a die is cast.
Even so, the farm is sending out not only turkeys, but recipe cards with ideas for leftovers. But while turkey farmers can at least keep selling their birds, things are looking a lot tougher for firms selling goods considered non-essential. One of those is Marie Hawthorne, who is preparing for her party shop business to go almost exclusively online during the lockdown, closing just ahead of its busiest time of year.
This is absolutely peak season for us. Outside of birthdays, we obviously sell all of the decorations to decorate the home during the festive period. We also have tableware collections, and gifting as well is a huge part of our business.
She hopes the business, which only opened in April 2019, can survive a second lockdown by adapting with online sales and establishing a click and collect service.
Obviously, it's disappointing that we are now closing our doors, but we have to adapt, and we will continue to offer our mail order service through our website.
Many shops are counting on the lockdown not being extended past the December 2nd deadline, although there's no guarantee customers will be back in person in time for this most crucial date in the retail calendar. Meanwhile, from balloons and tableware to turkeys, people in the UK will be able to shop for their Christmas needs, but must do so in a new way.
Not all businesses will be as fortunate as this turkey farm, which is on course to sell out its stock. Indeed, for many, the season of good cheer will be a season of uncertainties as they face a Christmas like no other.
Two drug makers are now reporting their data have shown more than 90% effectiveness against the coronavirus. Moderna announced on Monday results from its study show its COVID-19 vaccine was 94% effective, making it even better than they had expected. But this does not in any way mean the drug will be available anytime soon. Moderna becomes the second drug maker to report effectiveness of a coronavirus vaccine. This offers hope to more than 53 million infected people globally. Nearly 1.5 million COVID-19 deaths have so far been recorded worldwide. Another drug maker, Pfizer, reported a week ago that its vaccine was 90% effective against the virus. 10 other drug makers in different countries are also at phase 3 trials of their vaccines. The more than 90% effectiveness rate of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines qualified them for approval by the Food and Drug Administration, whose yardstick is that coronavirus vaccine must be at least 50% effective to be approved. At At least 9 persons are reported killed in the floods that have inundated Mexico's Gulf Coast of Tabasco. More than 9,000 residents have also been forced to evacuate their homes. The country's Interior Department says the floods have affected at least 150,000 persons.
Tabasco State in southeastern Mexico, after the most severe rains in more than a century. The resulting floods have killed 8 people and forced more than 150,000 from their homes. While many have fled to higher ground, Vanessa Carrera uses a kayak to reach her front door.
Muy poca gente se quedó aquí.
Almost no one has remained. I'm running a risk in being here, but there's no place like home.
She's one of the few residents still here, and while these neighbourhoods sit largely empty, the evacuation has brought about other problems.
La realidad es que no he visto al momento ninguna autoridad aquí.
I haven't seen any authorities here, and there are people who are taking advantage of the situation to break into people's houses. The flooding has affected many parts of the city, and it seems like the water level isn't dropping. In fact, it's rising.
Al contrario, está subiendo.
Yet for those who have been forced from their homes, the parking lot of a local shopping mall has been their refuge, pandemic concerns or not.
All our pandemic precautions have been forgotten during this crisis because our priority was to survive, and to do that, we had to leave our homes.
Tabasco has been hit hard by the pandemic, and the state's Emergency Services Director, Jorge Mieri Terán, expects the flooding emergency to make it even worse.
By having so many people concentrated in the same place, we are expecting COVID-19 outbreaks.
And while volunteers work around the clock to fill sandbags for makeshift levees back at the base, he says much more rain is expected.
These floods were caused by the 11th cold front of the season, and a total of 53 have been forecast. Our rainy season runs until May of next year, so we are certainly expecting more precipitation. We have to be prepared. This is by no means over.
2020 in Mexico has seen the worst drought in 35 years strike the north of the country, and now the worst flooding in a century here in the south. And with the looming threat of a spike in COVID-19 infections, a long road appears to be ahead for one of Mexico's most impoverished regions.
Up next, sport. Mayweather returns to the ring in preparation for February 2021 Tokyo bout. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports, England's hopes of qualifying for the Nations League finals have been dashed after getting whipped by Belgium in Lyon. This defeat means England will not reach the finals after finishing third in 2019 when the inaugural showpiece was held in Portugal. Boxing legend Floyd Money Mayweather will return to the ring with a fight in Tokyo in February next year. The retired boxer had already dropped hints about the fight, which will be part of an event dubbed Mega 2021 at the Tokyo Dome. Mayweather retired 3 years ago, although he had previously announced he was coming out of retirement in 2020. He hasn't been seen in action this year. Mayweather is believed to have earned an estimated $300 million from the points victory after Pacquiao, which remains the most lucrative fight in history and generated more than $600 million in revenue. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.